Every empire collapses believing it won't, not because it's weak, but because it's convinced it's strong. Collapse never starts with fire, it starts with comfort. With systems that still work, mostly. With streets that still look normal. Power creates confidence. Confidence creates blindness. Blindness becomes arrogance, and arrogance rewrites reality itself. Leaders stop asking hard questions. Citizens stop noticing small cracks. The system looks powerful from the outside, but hollow underneath. History calls this moment the lie, and America believes it right now. But it always does. Empires don't collapse when people are afraid. They collapse when people are comfortable, when decline feels normal, when dysfunction feels familiar, when citizens say, "This is just how things are now." The most dangerous moment is when collapse feels boring. No alarms, no sirens, just slow erosion. And by the time the lie breaks, it's already too late to stop believing it. Rome believed it was eternal. So did Britain, so did Spain, so did every empire before them. Different languages, different flags, identical endings. Collapse is never random. It's not chaos. It's a pattern, a sequence, a cycle older than modern history. Historians recognize it instantly. Elites dismiss it publicly. The public is never taught this pattern. Because patterns remove comfort, and comfort keeps systems stable. America isn't an exception. It's repeating the script. Every generation believes history ended with them, that the rules changed, that the cycle was broken. They say, this time is different. Technology advances, institutions modernize, but human nature never does. Power still concentrates, greed still distorts, and denial still arrives right on time. The pattern doesn't care about excuses. It only cares about sequence. Empires don't fall overnight. They pass through 6 stages every time. Expansion, peak, moral decay, economic fracture, reset, replacement. No empire has skipped a stage, not one, and none have survived stage 4. Most citizens don't notice the shift. They just feel it. Certainty fades into confusion. Stability dissolves into anxiety. Things feel off, but unnamed. History gives this moment a name. America has entered stage 4. The terrifying part isn't the stages, it's how invisible the transitions are. No announcements, no headlines. One day feels like the last, until years later people look back and say, that's when everything changed. Stage 4 doesn't arrive loudly, it arrives disguised as inconvenience, and by the time it's named, you're already inside it. Expansion always feels heroic. Borders grow, influence spreads, power projects outward, military strength multiplies, trade routes stretch across oceans. America's expansion followed World War II. Bases everywhere, the dollar everywhere. Culture exported globally, rules written globally. Momentum builds, pride follows. But expansion hides a trap. The empire grows wider than it can actually sustain. And this is where collapse is quietly planted. Expansion feels like destiny, like proof of righteousness. Empires convince themselves their power is deserved, that dominance equals virtue. But expansion creates obligations, costs, dependencies. And the further power spreads, the harder it becomes to hold together. Every empire believes it can manage the strain. History disagrees. Every empire reaches a peak. It doesn't feel like a peak. It feels permanent. Wealth concentrates. Confidence hardens into certainty. America's peak felt unbreakable. The dollar ruled everything. American culture dominated the world. Consumption replaced production. Credit replaced savings. Growth felt endless. Warnings were dismissed as pessimism. Critics were laughed away. Decline was unimaginable, but peaks never announce themselves. They're only visible after they're gone. At the peak, warning signs look like noise. Data can always be reinterpreted. Decline can always be blamed on something else. Peaks feel calm, stable, predictable. That's why they're so dangerous, because nothing feels urgent, and nothing urgent gets fixed. This is the invisible turning point. Leaders stop listening to reality. Institutions stop serving citizens. Metrics replace meaning. Optics replace truth. Failures are hidden behind statistics. Debt disguises decline. Media becomes performance. Policy becomes theatre. Everything still functions, technically, but the system fractures internally. This is where decline accelerates, quietly, silently, and almost no one notices. This is when systems stop correcting themselves. Feedback loops break, bad ideas survive, good ideas are punished. Reality becomes inconvenient, so it's edited, smoothed, reframed. The system becomes fragile precisely because it looks stable, and fragility always breaks suddenly. Moral decay always follows. Truth becomes flexible, principles become optional. Loyalty matters more than competence. Power matters more than legitimacy. Corruption becomes normalized. Hypocrisy becomes invisible. Division becomes profitable. Anger becomes currency. Citizens turn on each other, not the system. Empires don't collapse outward first. They collapse inward. Trust dissolves, shared reality disappears, and the foundation begins to crack. Moral decay doesn't mean chaos, it means normalization. Things that once shocked become expected. Lines blur, standards slip. People stop asking, "What's right?" and start asking, "What can I get away with?" That's when legitimacy dies. Division is never accidental, it's engineered. Race becomes a battlefield. Politics becomes tribal. Class disappears from the conversation entirely. Citizens fight symptoms, not causes, while power concentrates quietly above them. Unity is dangerous to fragile systems. Division is incredibly profitable. The more fragmented society becomes, the easier it is to manage. Empires fall when citizens forget who benefits. America hasn't forgotten. It's been distracted. Division creates noise. Noise hides power. As long as citizens fight each other, they never look up. They never ask who benefits. The angrier society becomes, the quieter consolidation gets. That's not failure. That's design. Production is difficult. Speculation is easy. Every declining empire chooses easy. Factories disappear. Finance takes over. Money begins creating money without creating value. Debt replaces growth. Bubbles replace prosperity. The economy becomes brittle. One shock can shatter everything. America crossed this line decades ago. Wall Street replaced Main Street. Numbers replaced reality. And the trap closed quietly. Financial systems detach from reality slowly, until numbers matter more than people, until growth exists only on screens. The system becomes efficient and empty. When value becomes abstract, collapse becomes inevitable, because abstractions don't feed people. Stage 4 is economic fracture. This is the danger zone. Inflation creeps in quietly, debt explodes invisibly, wages stagnate, costs accelerate, the middle class suffocates slowly, savings lose meaning, currency loses trust, institutions deny what's happening, media reframes the pain, citizens feel gaslit, confusion becomes constant, anxiety becomes normal. This is stage 4, America is here. Stage 4 doesn't feel like collapse, it feels like stress, like exhaustion, like constantly falling behind no matter how hard you work. People sense something is wrong, but every explanation feels incomplete. That confusion is the signal. Debt doesn't solve problems, it delays them. Governments borrow to survive, central banks print to stabilize. Stability becomes artificial, interest turns into a weapon, inflation becomes a silent tax. The poor feel it first, the middle class feels it hardest. The elite remain insulated, every fix creates a bigger crisis. Options disappear, choices narrow, collapse doesn't speed up, it tightens. Debt keeps the illusion alive. But illusions demand sacrifice. Someone always pays. Not immediately, not equally, but inevitably. Debt is just time borrowed from the future, and the future always collects. The middle class is the backbone. When it breaks, everything follows. Work no longer guarantees stability. Education no longer guarantees mobility. Ownership becomes unreachable. Rent replaces assets. Debt replaces hope. Families delay life. Birth rates fall. Stress replaces optimism. Productivity collapses. Trust evaporates. This damage doesn't reverse. It compounds, and it's already happening. When the middle class collapses, society loses its buffer. Everything becomes fragile. Extremes rise. Moderation disappears. Hope becomes a luxury. And once hope vanishes, stability follows it. Trust is the real currency. Once it's gone, nothing works. Courts lose legitimacy. Media loses credibility. Elections lose confidence. Money loses meaning. Nothing feels real. Narratives replace facts. Belief replaces evidence. Society fractures into realities. Authority becomes contested. Power becomes unstable. No empire survives this stage. History has never made an exception. When nothing is trusted, everything is questioned. Authority fragments, truth splinters, consensus becomes impossible. At that point, power doesn't need to be right, it just needs to be strong. Leadership stops governing, it starts performing. Optics matter more than outcomes. Speeches replace solutions. Blame replaces responsibility. Short-term survival dominates every decision. Long-term thinking vanishes. The system consumes its future. Crises are exploited, not solved. Power becomes theatrical, substance disappears. Citizens feel manipulated, cynicism spreads, legitimacy collapses, performance is safer than solutions. Because solutions create losers, and systems in decline can't afford resistance, so leaders distract, delay, deflect, until governing becomes acting, and acting replaces reality. Stage 4 is different. Earlier stages allow reform. This one doesn't. Debt is too large, trust is too low. Systems are too fragile, reforms trigger shocks, shocks trigger panic. Panic demands control, control accelerates decline. The window closes quietly. Most people never notice. History only labels it later. America has crossed it. The point of no return is never announced. It's realized later, when options no longer exist, when every solution hurts, when every delay makes things worse. Stage 4 is where history locks in outcomes, and the door closes quietly behind it. After fracture comes reset, always. Currencies fail, systems reboot, rules change overnight, savings vanish, debts are restructured, power recentralizes, freedom contracts, under the promise of stability. Fear becomes leverage, compliance is rewarded, resistance is punished. This phase feels sudden, it never is. Resets feel chaotic. But chaos favors those prepared. Rules change fast when systems are desperate. People trade freedom for certainty, and certainty is always temporary. But control rarely is. Resets are not accidents, they are managed. Banks survive, institutions adapt, elites reposition. The public absorbs the losses, assets change hands quietly, power consolidates upward. Narratives are rewritten, blame is redirected. Those responsible profit, those affected disappear. History has seen this before, many times. The same hands that caused instability offer stability, at a price. Power doesn't apologize, it reorganizes, and history remembers who paid, not who planned. Empires protect themselves, not their people. Rights shrink. Surveillance expands, security replaces privacy, obedience becomes virtue, dissent becomes danger, scarcity becomes normal, hardship becomes permanent. This phase is sold as temporary. It never is. Freedoms lost in collapse rarely return. History is merciless. Hardship becomes policy. Scarcity becomes discipline. Fear becomes governance. Citizens adapt. They always do. That's what makes this phase last, and what makes it dangerous. Collapse isn't the end. Replacement follows. New systems emerge. New rules. New power centers. New narratives. Old elites adapt. New elites rise. The public adjusts. Life continues, altered. Empires don't disappear. They transform. Power never vanishes. It relocates. And the cycle begins again. Replacement isn't progress. It's reorganization. New symbols, same dynamics, different names, same hierarchy. The cycle resets. But the lessons are rarely learned. America isn't special. It's historical. The stages are unfolding precisely. The timeline is familiar. The warnings are ignored. The reset is approaching, quietly or violently, prepared or unprepared. This isn't fear, it's precedent. The real question isn't collapse, it's survival, adaptation, and who controls what comes next. This isn't about panic, it's about awareness. History doesn't punish ignorance, it ignores it. The question isn't whether the cycle continues. It's who understands it first, and who is ready when the system finally admits what it already knows. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the other side. Don't forget to subscribe.